Hello, my new and old and non-existent viewers. Welcome to the next vlog. This one, as is intended to be titled, Fantasy versus Reality. This one's gonna be a bit odd because something that I'm having a bit of trouble specifically defining in my mind what I mean by that, but I'm going to do my best. In the end, what do I mean? Reality obviously means real life. Fantasy would be something like video games, like board games, like movies, like basically just media entertainment. Just entertainment that involves you creating a story that is not grounded in this world. Stuff like playing basketball, playing golf, those would not be counted as fantasy. Basically stuff that directly uses your imagination to create a scenario which technically does not happen in the real world. I think that's right. Now, what's the issue here? Why make this whole video on the idea of fantasy versus reality? Well, it's because in today's day and age, with how much fantasy there is, with how much stories... Oh, okay. Need to sneeze, but... Annoyance. Anyways. Oh. In any case, we're surrounded by these stories of heroes, of romance, of things that just don't happen in the real world. And while it's cool to imagine, it's fun to imagine, to a degree it's also a trap. You see, the issue that some people have is that they have a bit of trouble taking themselves out of this fantasy. They have a bit of trouble they go into these fantasy worlds and they enjoy them so much. They have so much fun just either watching these shows or playing this game, placing them in the shoes of the characters, or is creating their own versions of scenarios, just existing in this false reality. And it harms their ability to, and it makes them forget reality. It makes them, because they get so invested in these fantasy worlds that the real them ends up existing in these fantasy worlds more than they do in real life, and that will severely hurt their ability to exist in the outside world. For an example of how I was, back when I was just in like grade 11, 12, my parents were apparently quite worried because I'm an only child. I'm not exactly the social butterfly. I don't connect with people easily often, so I would often just imaginate. Literally just spend my time existing in a world of my own design. And at the time, to me, it didn't seem like that big of a deal. But looking back, I was frighteningly deep in, because oftentimes at night I would just do all this imagination stuff, and when I woke up, I would legitimately spend like 1-2 minutes, maybe, just kind of my mind existing in that imaginary scenario, forgetting that the real world even exists. And I literally had to remind myself that no, what I am, this image in my mind is not real life. I got past that, I got through that, but looking back, that was really dark, really bad of a time for me, I guess, because just at that time I really wanted to just live in these fantasy worlds. Live in these these worlds that don't exist, that pull you out. I didn't want to accept reality because reality was boring. I I wasn't a popular guy. My crush at the time was dating another guy. I had some other weird thoughts when it came to other girls that I still kind of not entirely sorting through, but yeah. Back then in high school, I was bored of reality. And I think it's probably severely hurt my ability to actually just work because I didn't want to. I didn't see the point. If these imaginary worlds were so much better, then why should I really bother? But that's why you gotta keep yourself grounded in reality. Reality sucks, frankly. And fantasy seems a lot better, but you can't hold reality to the standards of these fantastical worlds, because that's the point of them. They're fantasy. They're way, way nicer than anything we could have in real life. So it's a power fantasy. Romance is a fantasy of the perfect relationship, but if we're going to be honest, some of the stuff they do in those is going to severely turn off the other person or get you arrested. And then in like anime action stuff shows, no underdog is going to fight off a bunch of thugs. There's no way that some kid whose only real skill is a quick jab is going to beat up an army of thugs. That's just not realistic. Because in those stories, the main characters are brought to a higher level, whereas for the most part everybody else is kind of considered to be a lesser being. Thus why so many thugs in media are just crap at fighting, crap at doing their job. And another thing is the power fantasy of all of it. People like to say they want to have this power fantasy, this fantasy of being so much better, but I don't think we do. It may be human nature. In a way, it's something that it's human nature to want, but once we get it, once we get an opportunity to have this power fantasy in real life, unless you're a total psychopath or a total jerk, oftentimes you're just gonna kind of either completely lose it completely go insane and end up destroying yourself by doing it, or back off and not actually taking a hold of it. And it's interesting because we all say we want these things, but the only reason that these fantasies are so good, so enjoyable, is because they're in these, because they're fantasy, because they're not real, because we don't have to live. We don't have to live with the consequences that we know will come if we attempt to grab hold of them. It's weird because people don't really seem to recognize that, but real life is different from fantasy. Real life is real life, and if you stay in fantasy too much, you're going to destroy your real life. You've got to stay grounded in reality, and no matter how crap it is, no matter how boring it is in my case, no matter how tortured it is in many other people's cases that I don't really know, maybe you're abused, maybe you're just completely in debt, maybe you're just struggling to live day to day, escaping into these fantasies will make it fun, but it's not going to do anything to help your real situation. It's just going to make it worse because you'll be neglecting trying to fix it. And yeah. Yeah. It's weird because humans want these fantasy stories are so enjoyable, but legit, when you take most of this stuff from these fantasy worlds and put it into the real world, it's not gonna be nowhere near as nice as it was in the fantasy world. So yeah. Take it from me. Living in a fantasy world is a dumb idea. Sure, my life may be boring right now, part of the reason why I'm doing these dumb vlogs, but I'm still trying to live in reality. I still want to be grounded. Even if nothing is happening at all. It's important to me that I stay here in real life. Bit of an emotional thing. Nothing really triggered it. It's just a topic. Like I said, it's a topic I wanted to bring up, but I just didn't really know how to word it, so words just kind of spilled out. Every word that I say is true. Every word that I say is honest. Like I said, you're getting the real me. Ironically, it's probably a lot more than some people will get simply because I'm afraid to put it out the real me in real life for fear of offending people, but well, like, share, subscribe, dunk your head in water to watch this. Have a good day, evening, night, space time. And just, give me a topic. It'll be interesting to learn. Have a good day, all.